welcome to episode 31 of Star Wars Tabletop Gaming. In today's episode, we're going to finally look at Boba Fett and the Scout Trooper expansions that we've got coming our way. It's taken me a while to get onto these. I really wanted to kind of delve into them and see what they meant for the game, and that meant playing a few more games before I decided exactly how powerful and exactly how effective they're going to be, but I'll talk about that a little later. So we'll go through them. We'll start with Boba, then we'll get onto the Scout Troopers after that. We'll look at their card. We'll discuss essentially why I'm excited for them, in particular what Boba Fett means for Legion, and we'll see if we can't teach you something new. So, Boba Fett Expansion. Let's have a look at his card. It is... Now, look, let's zoom in. I'm pretty sure it's 140 points for Boba Fett. That is so efficient for cost for what he gives. So let's look at his keywords. Boba Fett, 140 points. He has Jump 2. Amazing. So to put that into perspective, Luke only has Jump 1. He has Arsenal 2. Never thought I'd see that on a trooper unit. Arsenal 2, he can fire 2 weapons, which becomes even more powerful when we look at his operative cards. They're not command cards, I guess. Let's call them command cards, but he's an operative, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So he has Arsenal 2. He has this bounty keyword, which essentially means, now I'll try and read it. After setup, place a victory token on an enemy commander or operative. If you defeat a unit with a victory token, move that token to you. At the end of the game, if you have a victory token, gain that token. Okay, cool. So, if Boba Fett manages to kill the enemy commander that you've selected as your bounty, you get a victory token. I cannot describe how powerful that is. That will win games over and over again, but I'm getting ahead of myself. He has Impervious. I think this is new. While defending, if the attack pool has the Pierce keyword, roll X additional defense dice. So let's say Vader throws his lightsaber at him with Pierce 3. Boba Fett's going to be rolling 3 extra red defense dice with defensive surges, but we'll get to that in a minute. And Sharpshooter 2. And I say N Sharpshooter 2, but what I really mean is he has Sharpshooter 2. This is huge. That means he ignores cover. He ignores cover, people. Heavy cover's the best you can get. He negates 2 of your covers. It's really good. So all of his weapons may as well have blast on them as well. So just think about that. Am I wrong? Because now I'm looking at his flame projector and he has blast on that, which doesn't make sense if he has sharpshooter. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with that. Maybe I'm not. But as I understand the sharpshooter keyword, he essentially negates up to 2 cover, which is just insane. All right. Let's look at what else he's got. He has 5 health. You know, not overly a lot of health, but he has something to help with that. He has 3 courage, which is excellent. That's what we like to see for a premium unit. He has red defense dice. Wonderful. He has an offensive surge to crits. Fantastic. And far more importantly, he has a defensive surge to blocks. This is the first time we've seen a unit with red defense dice with natural defensive surges. So that's awesome. I mean, Vader and Luke can proc it when they use their dodge tokens, but to have it just as a natural, you have it all the time, is spectacular. So Boba Fett is one of the hardest single units to kill. He's not a commander, he's an operative. But let's kind of, lump them together. He is real hard to kill. So his weapons, he has 2 red dice in close combat, nothing to snort at. He has wrist rockets, which is range 1 to 2, 2 black dice, impact 1. Fantastic. And he has Fett's E3, I think, carbine, range 1 to 3, 2 black dice, and pierce 1. And remember, when he's within range 2 of a unit, he can fire both of these with his Arsenal 2 and just roll 4 black dice with impact 1, pierce 1, which is really nice. So, other things he does. 3 movement, by the way. Missed that the first time I looked at him. 3 movement's fantastic. He's as fast as speeder bikes. That's insane. It's just nuts. So it's crazy. So I'm comparing him straight to Vader essentially because there's a single unit, an individual mini unit, and he exists to put out damage and gain a cheeky victory point. But he exists to put out damage, and the ability to move at 3 around the battlefield compared to Vader's 1 is just insanely powerful. You can't measure how much stronger that makes him. Not to mention so much cheaper in points. But let's talk about what Boba means for Legion in total. We'll get to some of his operative cards in a minute. But what he means for Legion is that there's probably not going to be a scum and villainy faction. I know a lot of people's hearts just sunk just then. But if they're putting Boba in with the Imperials, I don't think they're going to do what they did with X-Wing and retroactively change that later on and allow him to be in both. I think that means that a scum and villainy faction is not really in the cards for Legion. It looks like different kind of bounty hunters will be employed by the Imperials, which is fine. I mean, Vader is the one using them all throughout the original trilogy. I have no issue with that whatsoever. If anything, if we're going to see new factions, and I won't harp on it, but if we expect new factions, just like we've seen X-Wing 2.0 come out recently, look to see things like the Resistance and the New Order coming out as separate factions rather than Scum and Villainy. But I don't think we'll see factions anytime soon. FFG really seem to want to go deep with the two factions that exist, with the Imperials and the Rebels, before they look anywhere else. Other things that Boba Fett means for Legion. Operatives. So this is the first time we've seen an operative. It is not a type of unit that has existed before we got this release, and it shows that FFG are really willing to go outside the box to kind of thematically represent characters and units that they're really passionate about from Star Wars. So they obviously decided that Boba Fett, he just isn't a commander. There's no point within Star Wars that Boba Fett's commanding people around and armies and units and whatnot. He works on his own. He is a lone ranger, a lone operative, if you will. And it's really cool. They came out with a whole nother. It wouldn't make sense for him to give orders to units. So coming up with a whole new unit type is a ballsy move a few months out from releasing the game. But it's also kind of cool because it means he has his own command cards or operative cards, whatever they're going to be called. And he's not giving out orders to people. What he's doing is instead only giving orders to himself and using them to represent cool weapons that he uses outside of his regular carbine and wrist rockets. So let's look at that, the way he uses command cards. So the two that we're able to see here is Flame Projector, which is his 2-pip command card. It's only Boba, as I discussed before, and it says during Boba Fett's activation, he gains the following weapons. So you get to use this once in a game. It is either within close combat at range 1, 1 red dice, blast and spray. And we know spray means that for every miniature in the enemy unit that you're attacking, you get one of these red dice. So let's say he rocks up to a full trooper unit with 6 minis in it, and he just gets 6 red dice just to spray all over them. That's epic. And of course, he's got Arsenal too, so he still gets to shoot off a couple of black dice with Pierce 1 as well, which is just insane. He is going to absolutely mince up enemy troops, and I love it. The disruption he causes to your enemy's troop units, especially by being able to get to all kinds of different places on the board with his speed 3, is awesome. And that's what really, really excites me about Boba, is just what he brings to the table. So there's not only his speed, which I've mentioned, there's his damage output, which is obviously huge with things like Flame Projector, but it's this victory point. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. Okay. The other command card that we've seen is Whipcord Launcher. Love this. So once again, just for Boba Fett, this is 1-pip. Boba Fett can perform moves while engaged with a unit that has 1 or more immobilized tokens. Interesting. During Boba Fett's activation, he gains, and this is a free action, choose an enemy trooper at range 1 and in line of sight. It gains 2 immobilized tokens and 2 suppression tokens. Now, 2 suppression tokens right off the bat is awesome. The ability to disengage whenever he wants, awesome. But I'm not sure that we know the full story for these immobilized tokens yet. The way it's worded and the way Whipcord Launcher works, I expect that not only will it allow Boba Fett to disengage from that unit, it might actually stop that unit from moving around for a turn as well. And if you add that into the amount of damage he can do to troops and where he can get on the table, the ability to disrupt your opponent's capacity to capture objectives while using Boba Fett is immense. And that's a really powerful ability and a powerful thing to be able to stop your opponent to do. Because not only are you stopping them and disrupting them from getting objectives, but you have bounty. You have this ability to get a victory point extra on top of your objectives every single game. And 1 victory point might not sound like much, But the way that the missions are structured and the way that you capture objectives, like intercept transmission, perfect example. You're probably going to be able to capture one objective really easily. Your opponent's going to be able to do the same, and then you'll contest over the one in the middle. So there's plenty of cases, and I had a game certainly that ended this way in the tournament that I played yesterday. There will be plenty of cases where your objectives end in a tie, lots of times, and that one little extra victory token pushing you over the edge will be huge. It cannot be understated. Boba Fett will single-handedly win you games time and time again. I presume. I assume. Maybe we'll have to get him on the table and see, but I think his abilities are amazing, and Bounty is probably one of the things I'm most excited about for him. Also, I just want to put it out there. He does a lot of damage, right? So we have Flame Projector, we have his 2 weapons, Arsenal 2, Sharpshooter 2, all this stuff is going to be putting out serious damage, and the ability to have a single mini that is only, that is small, isn't as big as an ATST, that can put out that much damage is so powerful. So in the tournament that I played yesterday, I ran Vader and Viz together, and I got some really funny looks. But people were like, why would you not just run a second ATST instead of Vader? It's got more range, it can move around better. 2 things. 1, Vader's a trooper. 2, he's so much easier to hide. Boba Fett is going to take this to the next level, because not only is he really easy to hide, not only does he put out lots of damage, but he moves really fast as well. So he takes Vader's one weakness away and just blows it out of the water. He is not nearly as expensive as Vader, which is obviously another weakness. So I cannot see myself not running Boba. I think Boba Fett is going to be amazing. He's going to make Imperial armies just that more powerful. And compared to, I guess, Han, who's his Rebel counterpoint, I think Boba Fett is just so much better. Other things that we saw in his preview, we've got some upgrade cards here. We've got Hunter for 6 points. I'm trying to read this off the tiny screen. While attacking a wounded trooper unit, during the roll for attack dice step, you may gain 1 aim token, I think. Okay, so if you're shooting at a trooper unit that's already lost some minis, it's essentially a free aim token. Fantastic, great. The other one there, it looks like the first word is emergency. I'm not even going to try and talk about what that does. I can't really read it, but look, it looks like it's an ability to survive longer, maybe? It says 2 wounds, I can read very distinctly there, so we'll wait and see. Either way, I think Boba Fett's going to be really tough with his defensive red dice and defensive surge and the ability to hide him around the battlefield. So overall, great expansion, super excited about him, and more importantly, really love the miniature. So we've obviously been, and the community has been, a little disappointed with some of the miniatures that have come out of FFG, particularly Han and Leia. I'm getting tongue-tied now. I'm going to slow down. Boba Fett, however, is a fantastic miniature. I think they've really done him justice. He's surfing there kind of on his backpack, which is kind of cool. And saying that, not a huge fan of the clear stick propping him up. So I think I might do some pinning work and just pin his foot into a rock or something. But you've got the flame coming out. You've got a great pose. His cape flying out behind him. I think it's a great miniature, and I'm really excited about putting on the table. So that's Boba Fett. I ranted a little there, but I just think he's amazing, and he's just so good for his cost. So cheap, 140 points, if I'm reading that right. He's just so cheap. Okay, next unit, moving on, I have to move on, is the Scout Troopers. One thing, 2 black dice, people. 2 black dice. So I fought against only 1 unit of Fleet Troopers on the weekend. Not many people have got them put together and onto the table yet. But their ability to put out 2 white dice at range 2 made them really scary. I did not want to get anywhere near a Fleet Trooper unit that still had, 4 or more miniatures left. These guys, for not that much more, I'm looking at, I think, 60 points for a unit of 4. They have 2 black dice. Not offensive surges, notably, so, not that much more powerful, but they also have Sharpshooter 1, so that's negating cover a bit, which is really nice. Let's go through them. Let's go through their whole thing. Let's not chop and change. So, 60 points, bunch of different upgrades they can take. They have low profile. While defending, if you have light cover, something, improve, I think, your cover by 1. Cool. Okay. We don't see that much light cover out there, but I think that's more a failing of the community. I'm certainly going to start putting some forests together. Plenty of forest in Star Wars. Let's get them on the table. Let's get some light cover, and that's definitely going to help your Scout Troopers. Scout 1. After you deploy, you may perform a Speed 1 move. You know, not groundbreaking, but for a unit that only has range 2 on their weapons, pretty nice. I'm okay with that. It also, I guess, sets them up to use their sniper rifle too. If your enemies tried to be a bit tricky and tried to hide behind some things, that range 1 move might actually kind of put you in a great place. And we don't know what that sniper rifle does. I certainly can't see it anywhere. I could be wrong. Have we got the stats for that? No, I don't think so. But it'll be something similar to what we've seen out of the... have we even seen the Commanders one? I don't know. Maybe not. Either way, it'll probably do a great job of picking off single minis, is my prediction. So, moving to get that. And the Scout 1's thematic as well. Scout Troopers, Scout 1, sure. And Sharpshooter 1, which is really nice. Minusing a cover from your opponent is never a bad thing. They have 4 miniatures within a unit. Pretty good, so only 15 points each. Very nice. They have white defense dice. So this is the first trooper unit, I think, for the Imperials we've seen with white dice. That's okay, because they have a defensive surge. So they're not that much less survivable than red defensive dice, so I'm not too stressed about that. They have 1 health and 2 courage. If you've listened to my Rebel Commando rant, 2 courage is so powerful. It's really important. And when you're paying a premium for points for these guys, you really want them to get both their actions, and that courage 2 will get them there. I would spend probably 10 points on my Stormtroopers alone to give them courage 2. So then the fact that these guys have 2 black dice at range 2 on their weapons is awesome. That's so good. So Scout Troopers, I think they're a super solid unit. We don't have that much more on them. We have some upgrade cards here. Duck and Cover. Something, 1 suppression token. Pretty sure that allows you to take a suppression token while they're getting shot at to get the extra cover there. Now, I don't think that counts as having light cover. So I don't think that then kicks their low profile off. Just be aware of that. I could be wrong. Someone correct me in the comments if they disagree. But be aware, it counts as cover 1, not light cover. I think there's a difference between the two. They've obviously got that, it looks like a sonic charge. So they're going to be able to place some bombs. I'm trying to read what it does. It has the keyword blast. That's kind of cool. So yeah, look, they'll be able to place bombs just like the Commandos. They've got that cool sniper rifle. The miniatures themselves, I think, are fantastic. I really like them. That leader with the monocular, I guess it's got 1 hole, not 2, up to his visor is really cool. The miniatures themselves, Scout Troopers, look fantastic. I love the look of Scout Troopers. I think any Star Wars fan does. I am not planning on painting mine white, I must say. That doesn't seem that sneaky to me. I think I'm going to go with a bit of a, I guess, red. Everything's got to be red for my Imperials, right? Bit of a red camouflage scheme. That'd be kind of cool. Or maybe their fabric could be red, kind of the pants and undershirt and stuff. And then maybe a bit of a urban camouflage on their armor. Something different. I'll certainly mix it up. But the miniatures are great. The unit seems fantastic. They are, of course, special forces. And they're troopers. So think about this again. So at the moment, you're taking one of 2 things. You're either taking troopers to capture objectives, but usually not do that much damage, or you're taking things like AT-RTs, speeder bikes, and AT-STs to do damage, but they're not troopers, which means you can't capture most objectives with them. So what I love about these special forces units is that they're troopers and they put out a whole lot of damage. So you can use them super offensively and capture objectives as you go across the board and into your enemies' kind of objective zones. So I think that's super powerful. That's why I really like the special forces units that we've seen. That's why I really like Scout Troopers. And that's pretty much everything on them. So let's see just quickly, does the article say much more? Gives us a lovely picture of them using Move 1, just in case we couldn't understand what that meant. No, it doesn't seem to be any links to anything wonderful that we can check out for them. So can't wait to find out more about these units. We're still waiting on 1 command card for Boba and another upgrade by the looks of it. I guess 2 of his upgrades to read them properly. We're still waiting on a lot of information from the Scout Troopers, specifically what their heavy weapons do and kind of what their other upgrades do as well. Looking forward to seeing that. But right now, I am very excited for both of these units. My Imperial Army is going strong, and I cannot wait to add these to it. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've learned something today. And until next time, may the Force be with you. This video was sponsored by Gatekeeper Games, your key to gaming unplugged. a tabletop store offering a friendly atmosphere for people to buy and play their games in the north of Fitzroy.